Hello everyone, friends of the channel. Today we're trying out this new dot, this Frenzy 11720 from Vector Optics. We're testing it on this beautiful Beretta 87. Also because it's a nice Picatinny rail that allowed me, without too many adjustments, to mount it on the firearm. A quick word about the company if you don't know it yet, and about this product. Vector Optics is a Chinese company. But for many years now, because people often think Chinese products are poorly made, in reality, it has had a very significant presence on the Western market for many years. They make products that really offer excellent value for money, including some very good products, but still a bit more budget friendly for every budget. They make some really interesting things. And for those who don't already know, I've been reviewing and also regularly using their optics on my firearms for a long time with great pleasure. The first thing that stands out very quickly with this dot is that it's an enclosed dot, a so-called closed emitter dot. Usually we have the dot's glass or viewing window, which is much more exposed. This one instead is inside a sort of tunnel, actually with three separate pieces of glass to protect them a bit more. This is a trend that has developed, a fashion, a tendency that has developed relatively recently. Because red dots, surely if you use them, you know very well that they are very useful. I mean, they absolutely help with shooting. What a sight like this does compared to classic iron sights is essentially it allows you to see the target better because the normal iron sights partially cover it. Whereas here I have an image, a red dot projected onto a glass so I can see the whole target. The second very interesting thing they do is that in traditional target shooting, as you surely know, you have to focus on the front sight. By placing the dot on the target, it allows you to observe the target. In short, there's a reason why so many people in every field are increasingly using these electro-optical sighting systems on pistols. We could call them. So let's open the package, and first of all we find a multi-tool made in the style of a firearm. Nice, maybe even useful. First of all, we find a whole series of accessories and components, some wrenches for assembly, and a set of screws for fastening. Actually, the only plate that comes with the dot is the adapter for the Picatinny rail. Here is the Picatinny dot adapter itself. Let's do this. Let's attach the dot to the plate for the Picatinny rail. Also, to test it, I borrowed a Beretta 87 from the Legnano shooting range, which has the necessary mount to do this very conveniently. And we also need to put the battery inside the dot, so let's start doing that. If they would hand over the tools. I hope the optics purists don't hate me, but here I would need a torque wrench, which unfortunately I don't have, so I'll just tighten it. It should be fine. The battery is missing. Quite cleverly, for the battery, there's this compartment held by two Torx screws, long-lived Torx, that we can remove to insert the battery. This definitely gives us the advantage that compared with earlier models, even from the same Vector Optics, you don't have to remove the dot from the plate to change the battery. Having to remove the dot is a common problem with many dots, especially older generation ones. Whereas here I have my little door like the SIM card slot on an iPhone, if you know what I mean. Just a twist to unscrew it. Let's try not to lose these tiny Torx screws. Let's see if this plate comes out. No, I think I'll have to use the tool to help it out. Here we go. Here's the plate. It holds the battery. Let's see if that's enough. Oh, finally the dot works. There it is. Okay, just let me secure the screws that hold the battery here because we can go test everything at the range. The dot has various aiming modes, from this circle with a dot inside. If I hold down the power button, I can change them. Let's see, why isn't it changing for me? I wasn't pressing it properly. There we go, there we go. Now I have a regular classic dot. And by pressing again, I can go back to the third mode, which is the circle we saw at the beginning. I'm not sure how well you can see it there. Maybe you can see it better, but without the dot inside. Let's see if I go forward again. There, the dot appears again. Now, of course, what you see on camera and what you see with your eye can vary a little bit. Let me see if zooming in helps you see a little better what I see. Here we go. Well, all that's left is to shoot it. Let's fire. So 5 shots at the target, pretty centered just to see where it goes. In general, for this test, I use the dot, which I find a bit better for shooting a bit more precise. Okay, let's go take a look. So as for height, I'd say we're good. It needs to be moved a bit to the left because we should be at least 5 centimeters to the left of the shot group. Let's adjust and try again. So if the group was to the right, let's go a bit to the left. Okay, let's try again. Let's see now. Okay, half a turn. That was definitely too much. Let's find let's go back a little. Halfway between the two adjustments. Let's try to hit the smaller dots here that I put below. But we should be good now. We should be good. All right, come on. I'd say we're there. To be picky, maybe we can give it one more click down. I'm trying out all the reticles, but my favorite is still the simple one. Natural and no frills, just a dot. Maybe it's because for a handgun the dot is a bit bigger and there's less movement. I see the others working better on a long gun. This really changes things. It really changes the focus issue. There's an important point I want to make about the red dots. Besides, forgive me, it's 36 degrees today inside the shooting range, so I'm just sweating a bit, even if you can't see it. There's a fan in the frame, but it doesn't help you at all. Shooting with a pistol is 90% about how you grip it and how you pull the trigger, and only 10% about how you aim. A lot of people at the shooting range tell me, I didn't hit the target because I aimed wrong. No, you didn't aim wrong, you held it and pulled the trigger wrong. But that's another story. In that 10% margin where we actually have to use the tools to align the weapon to the target, good sights help. A red dot won't instantly turn you into a sharpshooter, but for people who know its advantages, it definitely helps. And as I said before, it's better to see the target clearly and focus on the target rather than the front sight. If the firearms world is really trending toward using these systems heavily right now, there must be a reason for it. I don't know about you, but for me, being able to see the target clearly helps a lot. Really, I mean, it's great because I look at the target and I see the red dot on top of it. Holographic sights are even better, but we're not there yet. We haven't reached that technology yet. Vector optics holographic sights are very complicated. And honestly, the companies that make them can be counted on one hand. Not bad. But the real reason for looking for a closed dot is that you should have one for a slightly more robust weapon. Why choose a closed dot over an open dot? The open dot is easier to conceal if you carry the weapon concealed. It's lighter when it comes to sport shooting, and it covers a little less of your field of view. Even if you've seen the footage from behind, the sight doesn't really cover that much of your field of view. The closed one has obvious advantages because, in short, it's much more robust. It's more resistant to impacts, there's more material protecting the glass, and it's more water resistant. For example, so I see it as a bit better for applications where wear and tear on the component might be higher. Dynamic shooting in some tough conditions, carrying for self-defense, maybe openly carried by security guards who keep the sight exposed, or simply for hunting. I'm not saying this specific dot, maybe even this specific dot, but in general, closed dots adapt very well to these needs. Well, I'm glad I did this review. I hope this dot has piqued your curiosity, at least if you're interested in buying it and supporting the channel at the same time. Of course, you can go to their website in the description, Vector Optics EU, and use the code VLADSPARASTORIA to get a discount. You help the channel that way too, since it gets a small percentage. I won't become a millionaire, but I definitely appreciate it. The results on paper are excellent. Picatinny rails are widespread, as well as other mounting systems for this type of sight. It's small and compact. It's a good idea. Seriously, I don't tend to hype up products on my channel all day long for no reason. I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, see you next time.